All right, now let's turn our attention to racial and ethnic differences in intelligence test scores. And this is one of these areas that, as you can just imagine, because of the topic, it can be pretty hot in terms of and impassioned in terms of intelligence test scores. And the first one right out of the gate is the fact that American blacks, now this is key to remember because this is different across the world, but American blacks their scores are less than white Americans, and this is, let me be really clear, all right? This is not quality or not equality. This is not value. There is a 10-point difference between American blacks and white Americans that some would suggest that it's because the intelligence scores are biased against American blacks than whites. And the interesting thing, across the world, we also see a variety of differences. European New Zealanders outscore Maori New Zealanders, which is the indigenous tribal people. Israeli Jews outscore Israeli Arabs, and most Japanese outscore the stigmatized Japanese minority. So there are a number of things for me to highlight, because these differences exist across the world, perhaps in different categories of people or ethnic categories of people. Native Americans, for example, you also see a similar difference as well from Caucasian Americans or Northern European Americans. So a couple different things to underline for you in terms of research when we're talking about ethnic differences. The first one is that environmental differences are largely responsible for the differences in these groups. So environmental differences has been identified as the thing to make these intelligence scores different, okay? Environmental differences. The second one is race is not a neatly defined biological category. I think because of the variety of people that you find across the world, you will find mixed races, and they are impacted in a variety of ways in the particular country that they're in. For example, in Venezuela, you may see the people that are part of the country and who are indigenous to the country. They have a category of people in Venezuela that are mixed race. Blacks that came to the Mediterranean, from the Caribbean islands, escaped to Venezuela, intermarried and intermixed with the indigenous people in Venezuela, and you have a mixed race, a mixed blood race, and those categories are impacted by the environmental conditions that you find there. The third one is that intelligence test performance of today's better fed, better educated, and more test prepared population exceeds that of the 1930s population by the same margin. Okay, so let's unpack that for a minute. So the intelligence test scores today, and we'll just say 2000s. The difference between the 2000s intelligence test scores and the kids who are taking these tests are better fed, better cared for, and I'll just put this all in the 1930s. We have better medical care. We have better education. all of those things. These test scores are better by the same margin as we see between the average white and average black kid today. So these differences that I'm describing here to you are exactly the same differences that we see between whites and blacks. And that gives you a little bit of an idea of just how powerful these environmental influences actually are. The fourth item is the idea here that when blacks and whites receive the same knowledge, they exhibit similar information processing skills. So if they're given the same knowledge, what we see is they show the same abilities in information processing. And again, it points out that environment has a huge impact, and that's even so between between races. Schools, the fifth one, schools and cultures matter, which I think goes without saying since we've been talking about it here. And then the last, let me put this in, schools and culture matter. And then the last one is in different eras, different ethnic groups have experienced remarkable achievement. So when we look into different eras, different periods of history, what you see is HX is a shorthand for history. You see differences between ethnic groups that wax and wane across time. And so you see differences between ethnic groups across time. And this is usually remarkable differences, remarkable achievements that are key to understand with intelligence scores. Okay?